jab on the mic. Every story, every stumble, every late night rewrite. Pull back the curtain, hear the real talk. Off script with Jarvis, Jeff, I let the conversation start.
Yeah, man. It's just a nice little background action we got going on. Where you at, bro?
I'm at the lab, man. You know, I'm in the studio.
Getting to it, baby. You
Yes,
stay
sir.
locked
Yes,
in,
sir.
man. Mike, man, I appreciate you for being on, bro. Like it means the world to me, man.
Man, I appreciate the invite, dog. Listen,
You already know.
black excellence on the podcast. You know, I got to be a part of that.
At all times, man.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm like, my
Yes,
brother out
sir.
here doing magnificent things, man. So for the people who don't know, give us a little brief overview, bro. What are you doing? Who are you? Where are you from?
Man, so I'm Big Mike Hart from Sacramento, California, NorCal, born and raised, now located in SoCal. Producer, songwriter, guitarist, family man,
Yeah, yes, sir.
and you know, that's really it.
Yeah, one of my favorite people, and that was the most modest introduction you've ever done in your entire life. Nah, Mike's one of my favorite people in the entire world, but also the phenomenal person who happens to be skilled on
My
the
man.
guitar, mixing engineer, producer, and recently, you know, you've always been on your artistry bag, but now you really locked in right now. Like you all in. Chips have been pushed all the way forward to the table. My man is,
Bruh.
but you're getting it done, bro.
Yeah, man. Listen. Hey
Getting it
man,
done.
you can't be the side man forever. You gotta learn how to pivot, you know, whether that's artistry or, you know, some other facet within the industry, but
Right.
you know, you gotta diversify your skill set. You know what
Yes,
I'm
sir.
saying?
But you will still
So
enjoy both, though. You know, you're still
absolutely.
always willing to do both, but you decided to sip into your artistry. So what made you push yourself into this artistry versus just staying a person for hire?
To showcase the production and songwriting ability, you know what I mean? So, you know, to kind of create I guess a catalog of what can be done to bring in clientele. You know what I mean? The show also the different genres as producers, you know, with me and my production partner Buddy. But me specifically in the smooth jazz world, which I'm in now, primarily in touring with one of the biggest people in that genre, I think it just kind of gives me a one up to be like, yo, I mean, he's a great player, but he could write you a Billboard #1 hit. You know,
Come
he
on,
did it.
come
He
on.
did it. He not only did it for, you know, somebody else, but he did it for himself. So there's no reason
Right.
why he can't do it for you. You know what I mean? So
Yes, sir.
that was really the main focus. And then it just kind of, I guess, took off to be something that was good enough at to continue to stay in that lane as an artist. So yeah,
Yeah, and that's Mike's so humble about this. Like Mike
man.
plays. Are we allowed? Yeah, we can say this. He's been on the gig for a minute, but
Yeah.
you play for the Beyonce of smooth jazz. You know,
Very true.
you know, that's like it's not far fetched, and that is a massive accomplishment in any arena you decide to go into, man. So I love that. But I also want to talk to you about when we first met, bro. We first met at Third Encore. You know, we had a lockout and right across from each other, but there was a time where you and I both were really trying to figure it out. Like we had no
Yeah.
real answers. We had effort, but you also had a story before we met. So can you tell us that, like from Sac to LA, what was your life actually like?
Man, well, in SAC, you know, I was trying to figure it out. Went through some family relationship stuff and that prompted me to uproot and relocate to kind of get a fresh start. You know, was working a little bit back home, had some relationships, but they didn't really take legs until you kind of got into the melting pot of LA. And, you know, because out of sight, out of mind, you know, and 10, 12 years ago, the internet was a thing, but you weren't as accessible on the internet as it is today. You know, Instagram was brand new. You know, Facebook was more family and just light information oriented. So, you know, YouTube was less than 10 years in.
Right.
There was still so much of the technology and social media um building that had to happen for you to just live in Timbuktu and still be able to have a sustainable career.
Yes,
So,
sir.
and the fact that LA was a 45-minute flight, 5-hour drive from Sacramento, it wasn't like I was moving clear across the country. So if I ever had to go back, regroup or whatever, it wasn't going to be something that I just had to, which I had to do at one point. I
Right.
moved here and then went home for a couple months and had to come back.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, so I went through life like most people, and but making the move was probably the biggest thing that could have, the biggest important thing in my life in 2015 that really changed the trajectory of my career and possibilities for me. So
For
that was
sure.
like the best thing I could have ever did.
Yeah. I love that, bro. Can you share a little bit about when you came back? So I know you went back home to Sac for a couple months and then you came
Sure.
back, like, because I know your story and your testimony, I want
Yeah, yeah.
you to tell it because I
Sure.
think people should know the sacrifices you've made to get to a
Yeah.
number one. It's
Yeah.
not just you showed up and things happened overnight. You went through some
Yeah.
real stuff, bro.
Some real stuff for sure. So initially, when I moved to LA in October 2015, my cousin Selena, um, I was living in Pasadena and she had an open room. I was in the middle of my divorce. And then I started paying on the room. It was like $500 just for the room. And I started paying like in the summertime to secure it. I wasn't even living there yet. I think I might have started June or July paying $500 rent. So I was already $2,500 in to the payment of a spot that I wasn't even physically there yet. Moved middle of October, got down there. I think I might have had a savings, man, maybe $3,500, and that goes extremely fast. So from October to uh, January of 2016, I was ready to come home because I was broke. I didn't have nothing.
Yeah.
And my cousin, she would leave and she would go to Orange County to visit her mom on the weekends with her kids. So I would just be at the crib and, with nothing to eat, and I remember I ate frosting one night trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then that was through 2016. Fast forward, she ended up having a situation where she needed her room for something. It was a family emergency, and so she needed that extra room, and I had nowhere to go. And so I was like, cool, I'll find a lockout room at Third Encore, a little studio spot, and I'll just crash in there. Did the background check, found out that I had identity theft on my report. Somebody in Chicago was trying to use my identity. It was a whole fiasco. So I ended up going back home for about 2 months, 2.5 months, something like that. And uh got my credit and all that stuff cleaned up, went through all the police, rhetoric to clean up, and then was finally able to get a spot. And went in with our boy Brandon. We ended up getting a studio together, and Brandon hadn't moved to LA yet. So he was living in Sac,
Right.
splitting the rent for the room with me. I moved into the room, and it was crazy because I went and got an ottoman that was it wasn't even a pull-out couch. It was an ottoman that was a twin bed, or or not even a twin. It might have been a full. I don't know, whichever one is the smallest.
For
But got
sure.
that. George Foreman that my mama gave me from the casino that she won. She's a platinum member at the casino.
Right.
I got a microwave and I got a mini fridge, and I thugged it out in the studio. I didn't have a car. That was all 2017. I didn't get a car until 2019. So I didn't have a car. So I would Uber to 24-hour fitness and I would shower. And when I didn't have the money to do that, there was a Jack in the Box up the block. And Jack in the Box, I don't even know if I feel like they've skipped out on the sizes of cups, but they used to have that extra large jumbo cup.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And they had one of the sinks in the men's bathroom in the studio got hot. There was only one sink with hot water, and I would fill
Sheesh.
that cup up with hot water, and I would whole bath in the
Yeah.
in the room That's what I would do. I would whole bath in the room and try not to get the carpet too wet so it wouldn't have a mildew smell. So yeah, that's what I did, man,
Yep.
to get to that. So it was and it's still, there's every level has its challenges, but that right there was something that was testament. You know what I mean? Eating
Yeah,
eating
bro.
ta- eating tacos, on the taco trucks on the street in LA are all fire.
All of them.
All of them, man, no matter which one you go to,
It's a fact.
and you can go there with $1.25, and eat good. For $3, you can get some fire tacos,
Yeah, you won't be
and
hungry.
you won't be hungry, and the vending machine was like the grocery store. You know what I mean? That's what it was. And as unhealthy as it was, you're in survival.
Yeah.
And those things are what kind of sustained me through this journey. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. I needed people to understand the sacrifices you've made because
Yeah,
a lot
yeah,
of
yeah.
times they only see the glory.
Sure.
They only see the finish line, and as you crossing, you're like, all right, cool, I'm running another race. They don't see the training ground that you had to put in, the sacrifices you made, man. So I know your testimony, but I
Yes,
need more
sir.
people
Yes,
to
sir.
understand the sacrifices you made, bro. So even through that, how did you stay mentally strong and focused to continue to push through? Because that's not easy, bro. Even as you're saying it, I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think, every little bit of time that would pass, God would drop some sort of little nugget. There was blessings along the way. At the time, I was gigging. I did have a gig. I was touring with Kenny Lattimore, but we didn't have like this crazy schedule. So those shows were far and few in between. We might have a nice little run for Christmas, at the end of the year. But throughout the year, you know, out of, 52 weeks, you might gig, I don't know, 10 weekends or something like that. Like I remember
Right.
like when I would get my 1099, I remember one year was like $16,000 for the year. And I mean,
That's not
how do
even
you
your rent.
survive? Yeah, it's like, how do you survive as an adult man or woman with $16,000 income, um, to live in any part of the world, let alone LA? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So, it was just always thugging out. And then finally, I think it was one of the Christmas runs. Yeah, at the end of 2018, what it was, I had enough to save $1,000.
Wow.
And I went to the gym, and I just remember I hopped in the Uber and it was just so dirty, and I was just irritated. I was like, man, like I hate getting people's cars and they're not clean, especially if you're using it as a form of income. And I said, you know what, man, I found a Honda Accord online. I was searching for a car. I was like, all I got is 1,000 to put down. And I called Honda or Nissan in Culver City. And for context, I was in Van Nuys Panorama area. So that's not close. That's
It's
not
not close at
close,
all.
not close at all. So, but they had a Honda that I wanted, and they was like, cool, we'll hold it for you. Left the gym, Uber straight out there, which is about an hour and some change. Went out there. They had already sold the car. But
Jeez.
but the way God works is he was like, you don't need a used car anyway for what you're trying to do. So I was able to get a brand new 0 miles, still had the plastic on the outside of the car, Nissan Sentra, brand new 2019. So, um, and that's how I was able to start doing Lyft on the side. So now I got a means to make some inside income money just to, have something every day, whether it's $25 a day, doing a couple rides, whatever. I can eat for the day with that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was like the journey for me, man, to sustain the rest of these years. It's like, okay, now you got a car. Now you could Uber around, you could drive to the gym, you could do whatever you need to do to get around. So those little nuggets of things, and there was some production things here and there with a couple $100 here, $100 there, to sell a track or two. But those little things just kind of kept you going. So
Yeah,
Like putting 20 in the tank. You know, I couldn't fill up,
right.
but I got 5 to get me to the next spot.
There
So
you go.
that was really the little things that kept me pushing.
Yeah, bro. Testimony to God. Because
Facts.
that's
Facts, man.
you kept your faith strong, you know, stay diligent to the purpose. And I've always thought this about you, man. You've always walked a purpose. You've had to
Yeah.
do things that you didn't necessarily want to do to get
Yeah.
to where you needed to be.
Yeah.
And I'm proud of you, bro. Like
Thank
you've
you,
done
man. Thank you.
incredible things. So let's
Thank you,
fast
man.
forward to us meeting over
Yes.
pandemic.
Yes.
You know, pandemic time, you and I were looking at each other like, yo, what are we about to do?
Hey, woo, boy.
But
Shout
one
out to
thing we
shout
was
out to
that
the SBA loans.
you're right. Come on now.
Come on, man.
Come on.
Yeah.
But you and I were looking at each other like, yo, what are we about to do? But one thing we did vow to each other was always show up every day.
Yes.
We never took a day off, bro. Like we were always practicing. You was on your
Yeah.
production bag. Talk about that time, man. How did you even stay focused during that time? Because that wasn't easy at all. You were coming
Yeah.
off of a really difficult time, and then you got smacked in the face with, yo, sit down.
Man, what was crazy because so top of 2020, I think February I was out. And at that time like I said, I was gigging with Kenny, and then I had started being a sub guitar player for Kim.
Mhm.
So one of my OGs reached out and I was filling in for the legendary Randy Bolin. And so I was doing the Kim stuff and I was out and I was in Alabama, which was crazy that I had a gig one day with Kenny Lattimore in Alabama, and the next day I had a sub gig with Kim in Alabama. So it just really worked. And when I returned home, the next day I was at the gym, I was on the elliptical, and I got a call from the tour manager for Boney James. And I knew Boney and Kenny had just did a record called Be Here that was doing really well. And they called me. That was like, Boney has about on average 70, 75 dates a year, which was a huge step up
Absolutely.
from gigging with Kenny, as far as volume goes. And I said, okay, all right. And I called Kenny. I said, hey man, he was like, take it. So
Wow.
shout out to artists who want to see you elevate.
Yeah, that's
'Cause
rare,
some
bro.
people try to hoard your gift for their own gain, and he was like, bro, take it, because he works.
Yeah.
And so and my first gig was supposed to be March like 16th. That was the day the world shut down. So
Sheesh.
as soon as I got a gig that would sustain me, I was unable to do it because the world shut down. But what was crazy was where most people's gigs are 1099 as independent contractors, Boney's gig is a W-2. So without even doing the show, I was able to draw unemployment. It was crazy.
That's brilliant.
Right? So I was like, yo, I don't even know. He probably seen it later. It was like, what's going on? But yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
for
But
sure.
God always got a ram in the bush, man. So yeah, so I didn't actually physically do a show with Boney until August 2021, and I got hired February 2020.
Wow.
Yeah,
So that was your pivot in time, bro. It's like
that was my pivot in time. Yeah.
that's crazy. So you working with Kim essentially got you the opportunity to work with Boney.
Yeah, so Kenny, I just happened to be working with them. What actually got me the opportunity with Boney was Omari Williams, the drummer for Boney, who's been with him for 20 some odd years.
Yeah, shout out to
Omari's,
O.
yeah, shout out to Omari is from Alabama, but he lived in Sacramento for a long time. That's where we met, and they had recently fired their guitar player, and he was like, I got the guy that was perfect, that would be perfect for this gig. And he wasn't lying because, Boney's gig really caters to my style of playing
Yes,
and what
sir.
he looks for. Because as much as people categorize Boney as a smooth jazz or contemporary jazz player or gig, Boney's really an R&B gig. He's just an R&B person who plays saxophone. That's
Yeah,
really
that's a
what they
fact.
give you. You know what I mean? So it really fit, especially rhythmically. It gave, just this highlight to what I do well. And it, you know, the chemistry between me and him as two lead instruments, it kind of works, man, because we really play off each other and you see a great dynamic on stage. So shout out to O for that
Yeah,
referral, man.
absolutely. And I agree. There's certain people that I think belong on certain gigs. And
Yeah.
it sounds crazy sometimes, but like Devin Sixtails is a great example. Dev belongs
Yeah.
on Bieber.
Fact. Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's not that anybody else couldn't do the job, but certain
yeah.
people just kind of belong there. When I saw you
Facts.
play with Boney, I don't remember what city we were in. It wasn't in LA, but I was
Yeah,
on the
no.
tour. You were on the road. I want to say it was either Carolinas or Nashville, something like that. But
It was Nashville. It was Nashville.
yes, yes. Okay, it was Nashville.
Yeah. It was Nashville.
So me and one of the homie Bernard, one of the dancers on the show that I was doing, I was like, yo, let's pull up and check out this show. And we just wanted to hear some cool music. Bro, you are the right fit for that gig.
Yeah.
You know, the fans love it. You and Boney have a great rapport. Y'all understand the choreography. Like it felt like family was on stage and we just happened to be there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, bro?
Yes.
So that's shout out to O for having that vision and foresight to even understand proper placement for you. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like that's
Fact.
beautiful. So fast forwarding now, you are now in your artistry bag and you've written a song with Boney that charted something crazy, bro. How did
Yeah.
that even come about?
Man, we were so Buddy and I had just finished producing a record on his album early 2023. And it happened to be the single fall 2023 off his album, not Slow Burn. I'm over here.
Bro, you've done so much stuff. I get it.
I've done so much stuff, but the song is called Memphis, and that record had went to number 2 on Billboard charts, on the Billboard charts, and it was like, man, that's dope. I feel like it's behind me right there. That plaque right there up top is the number
Yeah.
2 for Boney, which is a huge thing. And while that record is working, with the way he picked that record, I kind of knew where he was at musically and kind of what he would gravitate to. So I'm working on a record. We're off the road. We come off the winter tour. And now, when you get off the road, you got all your creativity built up and you're ready to get in the studio and write.
Yeah.
You've been just playing all month or however many weeks you're on the road. But anyway, end up coming up with this record that is so up his alley. That
Yeah.
is like, yo, this is crazy. And so I finished the record, chord, melody, all the production is done. And I play it for one of my OGs, Derek DOA Allen, super producer, who actually came up with Boney and Norman Brown and the
Legend.
it's yeah, man. And so I'm like, okay. He's like, yo, bro, this is a smash record. One thing you got to do is see if Boney will get on it. And I was hesitant because, you're taught as sidemen, don't be asking the artist for, features or, that's just like a no.
Yeah, it's a big no.
But it's a big no, man. But I felt like, in smooth jazz, it's a little different, or contemporary jazz. There's a little more leeway, especially if they rock with you. We did finish the record, sent it over to Boney. He loved it. He was like, yo, come by the crib and produce me. Dope. I went to his crib, did a bunch of takes, came back to the studio, did my edits, put it together the way I heard it. Record was fire out of here. Then I played
Yeah.
it for another OG, super producer Greg Curtis,
Legend.
who I said, yo, G, I want you, because I played Rhodes on it, but I knew it needed organ, needed other conversations. So I'm like, keep my Rhodes as the pad, but now, be the second board player to come through and add color and conversation.
Right.
He actually edited where Boney comes in after my solo section, and he created this beautiful bridge chorus that, you know, he built around what Boney was playing. It was just out of this world, and it added depth and contrast to what was happening. Because majority of which is a song called Cigar Lounge for the people who want to know the title.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what we're just talking about. I'm like, I ain't even talk about the title.
For sure.
But yeah, he put some color and abstract things in there that once Boney heard the final, he was like, yo, that's not what he played over. So when you
Right.
hear this conversation happen, and it's only like a 4-bar thing, it's not like this, you know what I mean? It's a 4-bar section where it's just enough to make you say, oh, and then we right back into the groove of the song.
Sir.
And then, you know, dug in my pockets and decided to truly invest in myself
Yeah.
and use the same marketing team Boney uses. I went full throttle. I said, who's the people, you know, I wanted to do it right because I felt like a song like that could really, really have legs.
Yeah.
You know, you can't really plan for what happened because it wasn't, you know, you like the record and you can call something a hit, but you never know what's a hit because whatever formula, people follow a formula all the time and don't hit.
That's a
So,
fact.
you know, it's by the grace of God that he sprinkled his blessing on top of what we did. And that record went on to be a #1 Billboard record on the contemporary jazz charts for 3 weeks. And then it created history because it was my first Billboard entry. And because Boney was featured on it, it gave him his 20th Billboard #1.
Wow.
So there's no other contemporary jazz or smooth jazz artist with that many #1s. So, you know, it was like a big thing. So Billboard wrote an article about it. So you sit there and you're like, man, you know, sometimes we chase placements and we want #1s with other people and we're trying to do this. And as great as our record that we produced on him, Memphis did, it only went to #2. The next thing he releases a feature on my record, and it goes #1. So God be having plans that we be like, I want a #1 on this person. God like, no, they're gonna get a #1 on yours. That's the plan.
Right.
You know, so we be thinking we chasing that everybody else's bag, and sometimes you just gotta fall in purpose and do what you're supposed to do. Have the faith, do the work, and then gotta get an increase. And you'll never know how big the moment really will be until you just throw it in the atmosphere. So, you know what I mean? Put it out there, man, because God can do a whole lot with a little.
Man.
Yeah.
Mike, that's so dope, bro. That
Man, bro.
that's
Crazy.
incredible. Also, shout out to Boney for being willing to do that. You know, that's not something
Yes.
that artists need to do. Artists typically have their teams, they have their producers, they have their engineers, but
Hmm.
even being willing to entertain the conversation, listen to the record and be like, yo, y'all need to slide over and produce this. Like, let's get to it. And then hopping on the record too, man. So shout out to Boney. You know, that's also
Boney, man.
worthy of praise and man, wow. Congrats, bro.
Thank you, man. Thank you, bro.
Congrats. So continuing on, you now have released an album
Yes.
that is fire.
Thank you, man.
Like
Thank you, bro.
fire. So what's the album called, and what was your process like creating it? And I want you to be arrogant with this because people need to know how dope you are, bro. Tell
Man.
people how many instruments you played on this, like, dog, and where you cut it. This man is sitting in the place he recorded it.
Yeah. So, all right. So the album title is called Modern Classic. The thought process behind the title was being the new face of the genre because I'm not considered this, you know, a jazz player. That's not my world. But to be a producer, I can produce anything. And so the thing was, I wanted to, I guess, you know, be the bad boy of the genre, be the rebel, and do a modern approach on a classic genre. At this moment, smooth jazz has been around since the '80s. You know, '90s is really popping, so it's been around. You know, it's concreted in the industry. So I was like, okay, let me give a modern approach to a classic genre just to give people something for their palate that they might not know that they needed without scaring them.
Oof.
You know what I'm saying? And I think like being on these festivals, what I notice is a lot of these artists, as great as they are, most of them don't just play their records. Most people's sets consist of some old school funk stuff. You know what I mean? They have to
Sure.
interject some hit records that aren't even contemporary jazz. They playing
Right.
R&B stuff or doing covers of records that were already hit songs, whether R&B or funk or whatever. They were just popular records.
Yeah.
So their show has a dynamic to it. They may play, their hit Billboard record, but the party don't start till you get to the old school set. The party don't
Yeah,
start
that's
till
a
you
fact.
doing the medley
That's a fact.
of somebody else's hit songs. And I said, man, well, as a consumer, I'm physically seeing as much as, you jump into the genre to be a musician and show what you can play. These people want groove, they want melody, they want smash records, they like arrangements, they like the party.
Yeah.
What you hear on watercolors in the radio don't reflect what you get at the shows.
It's a fact.
So why not give them everything in one? Why make them wait for a ticket when they could play your album, stream it, buy it, whatever, and have a party in their car or at the house listening on their, speakers, whatever. So
Barbecue. The
barbecue, man,
gatherings.
you
Yeah,
know what I
bro.
mean?
Yeah.
So that was my approach to that. It was just like, you know what? I want to make a modern classic album that is palatable, that gives some familiarity, but it's also like,
Yeah.
what
Job
was
well
that?
done.
John, thank you, man.
Job well done.
And I call myself, not, I'm still Big Mike. They call me Mid Mike, but at one point I called myself Fat Prince. 'Cause, I'm down,
Yo,
80
I'm changing your
pounds,
name on my phone right now. Mid Mike
Fat
is
Prince,
is
man. I'm the
nah.
biggest Prince fan.
Mid
And so
Mike is what's happening in my
that's
phone
what the
right
Boney
now.
band calls me now. They call me MM. They be like Mid Mike. They call me
Yo, that's
Big Mike.
genius. We gonna get to that your health journey too, because I think people want to. I want to hear more about it. But yeah, that's
Yeah, man.
hilarious. Mid Mike is funny.
Um, but yeah, bro. So I um I just tapped into a thing, man, where, I wanted to write everything, not play everything, but you play the majority of the stuff. And then when I need some specialists, bring in the hired specialists to elevate what I've already kind of carved out. But Prince is just one of my biggest influences, Babyface, Chucky Booker, DOA. So
Yeah,
many people, man, that influenced me. And I wanted to push the limits for the genre and really create something special because the genre is the same. There's nothing exciting, and you don't, even when you recording live, you can still have production value, right? So,
yeah,
playing with Boney, I was doing double duty because I was also touring and MDing for Joe.
right.
So I'm doing nice intimate theaters, maybe 1,500, to maybe 500. It just depends, unless it's a big festival. But I'm
Sure.
doing these things where it's like, this is a nice theater. You're doing House of Blueses, where it's a little more intimate, good crowd though. But then I'm also touring and I'm going to do thousands in an arena. I'm in London doing Wembley Arena.
Right,
You
which is
talk about
crazy.
30,000 people,
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm out here with Joe. And so now I have knowledge as an MD of arranging and how to put that stuff together. And so I said, you know what? The best way to introduce people to who I am is to infuse the two. I can give you a intimate moment, but impactful arena little nuggets that make you feel like you got more bang for your buck, from the record to the live performance. And that's what I did with the album, man. Like there's a record called Lay With Me where we tapped into the Minneapolis style like Prince and tapped into the pretty brown eyes, you know what I'm
Mm,
saying, and the whole mint condition formula. But I said, how I really was like, how would Adam Blackstone do this in 3 minutes and 30 seconds?
Right.
Well, what can you do in 3 minutes, 30 seconds, and that's all you have? Okay, cool. Let's give this song a award show feel. Let's
Yeah.
pack, well, how much can we pack in, but still give them the intimacy and the breaking it down and the drums on the rim shot and make
Yeah.
it sexy, but then you got a climax moment at the end and a huge outro and all those kind of things, man, where it's like how records used to be. If you put on
Yeah.
Earth, Wind& and Fire record, when you went to the show, it sounded just like the record because the arrangement was already in the song.
Yeah.
We ain't got to hire nobody to come and put an arrangement together because the arrangement is there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And
Yes, sir.
that's what I wanted my album to be. I wanted to, if I got to hire a band out of Timbuktu, I don't got to send them the album and the arrangement. Learn the song. If you learn the songs, you got the arrangement.
Yeah, you got the arrangement. Yes,
You got the
sir.
arrangement. That's it.
Yeah.
And that's always kind of been my approach. And it's scary because the genre's been operating a certain way for so long, and people are afraid to jump into something new that they already do.
Right.
You already do this on the show. You want this, but the powers that be sometimes could be a little leery, man. And everybody's not accepting the change.
Sure.
But I'm not afraid to be the guinea pig or the person to say, hey, everybody's calling me, telling me how much they love this.
Yeah.
I'll be the first to, I don't mind being the bad boy because I don't have nothing to lose. I'm at the beginning.
Yeah.
I don't have anything to lose, man. I already got a number one. I already work with the Beyonce of the genre.
Right.
I got nothing to lose, man. Here's me authentically. Take it or leave it. So,
And you've done it.
yeah,
I think you've accomplished something that people you have an older crowd that can appreciate what you've done, who are the
sure.
go-to people that are still going to show up to these smooth jazz vibes, and that's
Yeah.
beautiful. But you also have the younger cats that are going to listen to this and be like, "Yo, who is this?"
Yeah, yeah,
I put your album on in the car often, and it's easy to listen to and it feels good.
yeah. Yeah.
And that's a very I love your mindset though, because you essentially say like, I'm gonna take a live element, still
Mhm.
it's almost like a live studio. You
Yeah.
like a live studio
Yeah.
tracks,
Yeah.
and so you brought in a ton of musicians to play
Yes.
certain things on top of you playing most
Yep.
of this. You weren't arrogant enough for me, so I'm gonna be arrogant for you. Most of this stuff, bro, even keys, bass, obviously you play guitar, multiple guitars on this, man, and so many more. But who else did you have come in? Because that's also important to what your sound is.
Yeah. Well, I want to start with aside from Buddy Bangs, my production partner, who was more on the quality control. Buddy played on stuff, but Buddy was like the quality control person at the end
Yeah, shout
with
out to
me,
Bud.
like, yeah, like saying like, would I buy this or a sandwich? He was on his Barry Gordy. But then you know what I'm saying? But side
Right.
by side with me, pretty much through the whole process was our boy Brandon Harris, who
Yeah.
played 90% of the record on drums. He played pretty much everything and then co-wrote and co-arranged and co-produced a lot of the stuff with me just because he was right here.
Yeah.
And as much as a drummer I am not, I think I am. And so I get on the drums and I play
Mike
out
really wants to be a
ideas.
drummer.
I really do, man. I really do. That's why I started on drums like most people. It just was not in my wheelhouse.
The funny part is your drum setup is better than a lot of professionals, which is
Hey, hey,
ridiculous.
hey, it's crazy, man. And I think what works like with me and Brandon is I have all the ideas because I can program really great. So when I know what I want to hear, and so we write drum parts where most of the time, a drummer could come in, but I will produce you, and it could be irritating, but when you hear the final product, you understand why we did what we did. So
Yeah.
me and Brandon have created this incredible system where we write the drum parts down to what's the hi-hat pattern going to be.
Yeah.
Literally, what is the sticking going to be? Okay, instead of crashing here, play the toms as Crash. It's like, we're going to hit right here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like on the bridge of the first record on the album, Open Bar, you know, when the chorus hit on the bridge, we said, we're not going to crash. We're going to play those hits as toms. Doom, 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 and then crack. It's just, we're so strategic, man, that he ends up coming in as a drummer and saying, okay, I see what you're trying to do. I see this is how a drummer would interpret that. And
Yes,
then we
sir.
write and build that way. So Brandon, obviously I mentioned Greg Curtis and DOA, who played bass on Cigar Lounge. We got a legendary Phil Lassiter,
Come on.
trumpet and horn arranger for so many people, Prince included.
Right.
And then I used the very good, incredible horn arranger on the majority of the album, Derek Williams out of Nashville. And he has a great team, Sam Morrell on trumpet out of Nashville. My boy DJ, who is the MD for Joe, King David, as we call him, or D Tovin, as he likes to go by, David Brown. He did a lot of auxiliary work. You know, that's an art.
Right.
And that dude he'll have 6 keyboards and he's like an octopus, man. So when you finish a record and you got like a live arrangement record in particular, and you need somebody who knows how to make them synths and leads and all that stuff work. It's like, here's your song, put all the sprinkles and candles and frosting on it, and boom, boom, boom. Like, he's that guy. So him, Javance Butler, who is the keyboard player for Boney as well, and has been one of my right-hand brothers and musicians for 25 years, NorCal legend. He's
Yeah.
featured on one of my favorite records called Breeze, which also features he's not smooth jazz, he's just a phenomenon, Braxton Cook,
Yeah.
who is, you know, just a favorite. And Brian Collier from the Bay played drums on that. Who else? Omari's on the album. I did a record dedicated to my daughter called Beauty Eternal,
Incredible.
who Omari came in and one-taked it. The funny thing is,
Surprise.
crazy. Funny thing is, Brandon, we played it, and that's the beauty too about being a producer or a musician who knows when to remove yourself. Brandon was like, "Yeah, yeah." He came through and one take it. Brandon sounded great too, but sometimes you want to let me hear out somebody else's, and
Yeah.
there's no ego in music. You know, you got to know what's best to serve the record. So that. Who else? My wife did backgrounds. V-Bay, shout out to her.
Yeah.
Her
Shout out to
EP,
wifey.
her EP is getting ready to drop
When does it drop?
on the 23rd. So
Of
make
this
sure
month?
you got on
February. 23rd February. Love it.
February. So look out for that. Nicole, who did some backgrounds for me as well.
Also incredible.
Jessica DeJolia did backgrounds as
Also
well.
incredible.
And then we got legendary Kenny Lattimore, who came through and we dropped the R&B banger called L&F, Lovers and Friends. That's the record L did some backgrounds on, and Penthouse Suite.
Yeah.
And then, man, we got one of the biggest legends to ever, you know, I think the biggest feature I probably could ever have is the one and only Fred Wesley, who is or was the MD and trombone player for James Brown. At
Legend.
83 years old, he gave me not only some talking on the intro of a record called Magic Shave, but he also did some incredible trombone work at 83 years old. And that record features not only him, but it features my Uncle Jimmy, who's singing, my wife on the backgrounds, Elle Nicole and Jessica Jolie on backgrounds,
Yeah.
Phil Lassiter on the trumpet solo, and Eric Darius on there. And Javance is playing piano on there. Yeah, it's the album is stacked, man, with so much stuff. Carnell Harrell is on keys on Beauty Eternal. Jakeem Joyner features on Passport. Ivan Johnson is playing keys on Passport and Getaway. Colin Clausen, who plays for Gerald Albright, is giving me this incredible solo on After Party. It's a record called After
Yeah.
Party, which is the encore record on the album.
Fire record, by the way.
Fire record, and it was so dope. But you know how you hear those 80s synth solos, man. Colin is a keyboard player aficionado, where he has all the analog gear. He got all the old keyboards at the crib, and he gave me a real these analog synth solo, man. And you know, DJ did all the auxiliaries. I played Rhodes and all the other stuff. Can't forget D Free, bass
Yeah.
player, Atlanta. I was on tour with him, with Joe and Maxwell, and anybody who knows Daryl, they know when it comes to not just regular bass, but key bass, synth bass.
Yes. Yep.
He's can I cuss on here?
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
He's unfuckwittable in that world. I mean, there's a lot of
Yeah.
keyboard player, but that dude is just a freak of nature. So he actually plays synth bass, and I play live bass on the record. So you want to talk about, you know, honor the, you know, pair those two worlds. So it's just full of just talent and gifted people, man, that you know, I'm blessed to have Marcus Paul. Can't forget Marcus Paul.
Did Josh play on this record or this album cycle?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Josh, thank you. Josh played drums on After Party and Magic Shave.
Yeah.
So
Josh Foster.
Let's talk about Josh Foster. Thank you, because I wouldn't forgive myself if I would have missed that. So thank you.
Nah, for sure, of course.
Josh Foster is y'all know who he is. All the
He's
musicians,
special.
Josh is special. He's very, very special. Josh has been here before, and he can play any and everything, but Josh caters to very well. He is.
Yes.
He's going to execute, but he is you were in the session.
Yeah, that's how I know.
Magic Shave. I would say, yeah, Jarvis, you were literally here when we cut Magic Shave. After Party, he cut in Atlanta. Magic Shave, he cut here in LA. So to witness the recording in person was crazy.
Nuts.
Because, you know, you have drummers, then you got drummers who are musicians who understand the music and how to complement, who they play, but they listen first because they want to either accent something. They listen before they play. And Josh is one of those drummers, man, who has an ear to be a part of a band. He's the guy that you want in the band, and just super special and under 30. Crazy and just a freaking nature, man. And the
incredible talent and phenomenal man.
Dude, man.
Loves his wife. Like he's Josh is special.
Man, listen. So the album is stacked with some incredible people, and as much as I am the front man as a guitar player, everybody goes crazy on the album because of the bass work. Because
exactly, me too.
Because I gotta toot my own horn, man, because I don't call myself a bass player. I let other people to say that. But the bass work on the album, you know, I don't do it live. But in the studio, I'm unfuckwittable.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Because I understand how to write. Not that I'm the greatest bass player at all, but I understand, especially for my records, I know how to talk on the bass and create conversation. And that's what works with me and Brandon, because we get in here and as I'm doing bass, he understands and we really put that stuff together. So yeah, crazy.
Stack list, man. But people need to understand how fire you are on bass. Like we listen to that whole album. I listen to the studio and listen to the whole thing. Every time I'm like, yo, who's on bass? That's me. Yo, who played bass on this? That's me. Who played bass on? That's me. Come, yo, Mike, what's going on, yo? Everything I ate. It was just so good and tasteful.
Yeah, I just try to go for blood, man, you know, within reason and create moments.
Yeah.
Because I know what I want to hear from a bass player. I know when I want him to be in pocket and be in straight lock with the drummer. But I also know when I want him to let people know he's here and present. And so, you know, in the studio, you get to create those moments. You know what I mean? And so now when we go out and we have people learn stuff, the moments are already written in the song. We don't got to create nothing new. Give me your personality, but give me the part. You know what I mean?
The part's there.
The part's there. So
And you know the part because you played
and
it.
because I played it. I was like, that ain't no.
Yeah,
You know,
you're not killing me, and this is your instrument. That's a problem.
that part, you know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Yeah, man. So,
Incredible album, bro. Like seriously,
thank you,
one
man.
of my favorite albums that has come out in quite some time. So in your writing bag, people don't know how phenomenal you are as a producer.
Yeah.
You know that you wrote one of my favorite songs of all time. And
Mine
you
too.
know what song I'm talking about. We
Thank you.
can't talk about it yet, but when you drop this song, I'm putting it out here right now. It will be the song of the year and the wedding song of the decade. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
I'm putting it out there, but this is how phenomenal you are. So even in your production bag and songwriting bag, where do you draw inspiration from certain things? Or like where do you find this stuff from? Is it just in you? What's going on?
Yeah, I think, man, I'm such a fan of lyricism and stories. Like country music is like one of my favorite genres because there's a story in all the records, right?
Yeah.
So to be honest, no matter what I'm working on, there's always a country template there. It'll always be a country template, R&B, whatever. The undertone is always going to be a country record. It doesn't matter, pop, rap, whatever, because I want people to listen to it and be able to follow along.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So when I'm writing lyrics, I try to make sure, even if it's just some bubblegum BS, I want people to still be like, man, that was some quality BS. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah. Facts,
Like,
yeah.
he ain't saying nothing, but he said a whole lot. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I
Yes, sir.
mean? So, but listening to Babyface, James Taylor, Diane Warren, and then production, David Foster, Jimmy Jam, Gamble Huff, Rod Tiberton, Quincy, you,
Yeah. You're a student.
Barry. Yeah, I'm a student, man. And I think what happens is, especially in today's uh circle of producers in particular, and this goes for musicians, man. People like who's popping right now, but they don't ever go back to who they listen to. So they just be, prime example, 90s, 2000s, everybody was Dre, Timberland,
Right.
Timberland. But you gotta realize all their records were samples from whoever who created the foundation that made their record solid. Like we gotta go do the research to figure out why their stuff is what it is, because the majority of it wasn't original. It
Right.
all started from a base of something, which is fine. But I want to know who created the original stuff.
Right.
Why was it so good? Who did the foundation work? That goes for, guitar players. We love Sharkey, we love J Mo and Chris Payton and all that. But
Absolutely.
but what about, you know, Benson?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? What about Wes? Those people, what about Les Paul, who created the 4-track for us to even be able to multi-track parts?
Come on
Like,
now.
you look at that kind of stuff and you're like, man, if you go watch an old video of Les Paul and Mary Ford, you can't even fathom how they could execute that kind of stuff in the 30s
Right.
and 40s with precision. You know what I mean? There's
Yes.
people right now, there's drummers right now, as much as we love chops, none of them can play the James Gatson groove with the 16th on the hi-hat the way he does on When You Kissing My Love with Bill Withers. You can't even play it because he's not even playing hard. And I feel like he's playing traditional on the snare. How is he
Right.
getting that crack out of there without even moving his wrist, man, but a milli-inch? You look at that and you're like, man, okay, let's go back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So I'm just a fan of where it started. And it's not that you got to get everything, just at least understand where the point A began. And
Yep.
then, go from there.
Yeah, you can always go reference stuff.
You
But
could
if you
always
don't
go
even know,
reference stuff.
yeah, you gotta know where to reference and you gotta know what to search for.
You got to
And
know what to search for.
that's important, bro. I'm glad you said that because there's a lot of people out there that you're right. We're in the era of chops and licks and flashing, and I love it. Like I
Yeah,
will go down a rabbit hole of
yeah,
all that stuff. However, not knowing the history of
mhm,
where these chops come from, where these grooves
yeah,
come from can really impact you because you're only starting current. You need to understand the base of it so you can now articulate yourself the way you need to
yeah,
properly if you ever need to
yeah.
reference something. I think
Man,
that's beautiful.
you're 1,000% right, bro. That's my only issue with today's thing, and now it's crazy because you know, I consider myself young still, but I'm starting to fall into the era of, I guess the OG of like, I understand why our OGs were so hard on us with really learning what it is, man, because that is what is going to sustain you. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? The chop is the transition to the next part, but can you play the part?
Yeah, can you play the before and after of it?
Can you play the before and after of it? Because the transition, it's such a quick moment. You know what I mean? But where's the song? Where's the other stuff? So
Yeah.
yeah, man. But
And for you, you MD a lot.
yeah,
Obviously your own stuff, but you get calls to put people in certain places you're referencing, and you talked about putting together Joe's situation. You were
yeah.
MD in that. What are you looking for when it comes down to your MD and when hiring musicians? What types of people are you looking for? What are you looking for?
I think primarily people who play the records. We get so caught up in I want to change or let me show them what I could do that people they invert chords when it's just a triad and they just want to let me add a color when people fail to realize the record was a hit before you got the opportunity to play it, number one. And, without shade, most of these artists today vocally needed to be as basic as possible because they can't do no more than what's already there. So you trying to be overly musical um could hinder that artist because they listen for certain things.
Right.
They listen for certain colors and chords and timing and feel. And so, I look for all of it. I look for feel, I look for time. I look for personality too. Your job is not to outshine the artist, but I do want to see you. You know what I mean? I want to see, are you a happy player? Are you stone faced when you up there? Are you enjoying the moment? Are you living in the moment? Can you multitask? Can you live in the moment and execute the part? Do you
Come
have
on.
good retention? How fast do you retain? Can you work on the fly? Do you get flustered when there's an immediate change because things happen? Pro
Changes
Tools
are
goes
coming.
out. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Those changes
There's
are
so many.
coming.
Man, things are coming, man. Nothing is ever gonna just work out flawlessly all of the time. They should most of the time, but there's human error, there's a mechanical error, and then with all of that, which is 5 to 10% of it, how well are you with people? Do you got good people skills? Because we're on stage for 60 to 90 minutes and we're on the bus to get to the next gig that's for 8 hours.
Right.
So are you hygienic? Do you know how to cohabitat? Because we're gonna, cohabitate, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yeah,
Cohabitate.
but we're going to be in close quarters. You know what I mean? We're on the bus a whole lot longer, and when you get to the hotel, you bag dropping because you got to get the sound check.
Right.
Are you prepared? Are you late to lobby calls? Are you late to, all of those things because you could have a mediocre musician and have A+ show with that mediocre because they know how to play their piece to the puzzle.
That is a fact.
You know what I'm saying? And they're timely. They're easy to work with. All that stuff, man. So punctuality, personality, and just being the best version of you. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Don't compare. Just be the best version of you. And if you work on that in whatever capacity that may be, and pair that with just excellence in these other areas, I think the opportunities are endless, man.
For
Because
sure.
most of this music doesn't require you to be the loneliest monk and Charlie Parker and Chick
Right.
Corea.
Yeah. That's a fact.
None of this, especially the pop stuff, none of it, but it does require you to do play parts and be disciplined. And I think
Yeah.
the world of musician ADHD, because we're addicted to instant gratification of likes and comments and posts, detours your development of professionalism because, development takes time, but the instant gratification of somebody who's a non-gatekeeper that liked your post and gassed you up m- and makes you think you're better than what you are. They don't know
Yeah.
it was 50 takes for that 30-second clip you posted.
Come on, man. Yes,
You know what
sir.
I'm saying? They
I
don't
do.
know the reality.
Yep.
So I think, you know, all of those things mixed with accountability and reality of knowing where you are and being being able to accept critique,
Yeah.
not taking as criticism, especially when it's somebody who's where you want to be. I think, what I mean, that's the biggest thing. You know what
Yep.
I mean? And then learning from it and moving on from it.
Quick.
We ain't got all day
It's
to
like
sit here and
fish
be in
syndrome. You
feelings.
heard it and then you got to forget it. Yeah, it's one of those things, man, where you really need a total package to be on the road. That's
Yeah,
a situation where, yeah, I need to be able to play, but can I depend on you in every facet of the job? And part
yeah,
of the people forget that touring is not just the stage. Most of touring is what happens off of the stage that keeps
yeah,
people enjoying you personally to be around.
yeah,
And you're saying as an MD, like, look, I can't afford to be around somebody who can't get along with others and it isn't hygienic and gonna cause an issue, can't roll with the punches.
yeah,
Those are all major factors for you before we even talk about the playing aspect.
yeah, yeah,
That's important, man. I think people should really digest that.
yeah,
You said a lot of valuable information for people who might want to be in the space or potentially will be hired by you in future shows and other things that you're putting together. Maybe not even for your own artistry, but for things that you get called to put together
yeah.
as very valuable. So now, mid mic, let's talk
Ah, ah,
about your fitness journey, bro. Like your health and fitness was something that I personally know you've been battling with, but you
yeah.
really decided to lock in
Hmm.
for real.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What changed for you? Why?
One, you just want to feel better, when you travel on the road and your body starts to tell on you
Mm,
and you asking for a seatbelt extender on a flight or your knee hurting and your back hurting and you got to stay up here for 90 minutes and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's just not good. So
yeah.
2024, I was leaving out on the road and I threw my back out the day before I was flying. Knee hurting. I got a 4-year-old daughter who got more energy than the law should allow. You know, I got an in-shape wife. What version of you do you want to give them? What quality of life do you want to have on and off the road? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, I want to look good on camera. I want to be able to shop outside of online because they don't carry my size or big and tall.
Yeah.
And then I want to perform at a high level. And as an artist, I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, one thing to be a sideman and stand in place, it's another to be walking back and forth for 90 minutes and having to engage with the audience without looking like you about to pass out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All of those things are variables. And the beauty of it is most people think your health and fitness, well, I'm doing this for them. They reap the benefit, but you got to do it for yourself. It's not, I love my daughter, I love my wife, I love my mama, my sister, and all everybody in my family, but it can't be for them because as soon as somebody make you mad or you get tired, then the fall off happens. So and that's not to say you don't have rest days or anything like that, but it becomes a lifestyle and it becomes something which because you are the epitome of a healthy, in shape touring musician, and then you create community where the accountability supersedes the motivation. And that's where discipline comes in, where it's like, I'm gonna do it when I don't feel like it, because I don't want to be the person on the team that didn't show up. I
Right.
don't want to be the missing link or the weakest link, or you could be the weakest link as long as you're in the chain and you get stronger, but you don't want to be the missing link.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Now there's a gap in what, could very well change your life. And it's only what I discovered is consistency. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the thing for it. That people, I mean, you go to work every day so you can consistently make a check. But if you quit going to work, the hours get cut down so it's no different. You take days off, you may call in, all of that is okay, but you still gonna end up going back because
Yes.
you know what I mean? So I think that's the thing, like you gotta wanna be better, man. And so at the time I was turning 38. I started on my 38th birthday, 2025. And then I turned 39 a few weeks ago. And I seen something on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Instagram, and the lady was like, she was turning 45, 44, but she said, I no longer look at it as a full age. I look at it as a like 4.4, the version. So
Got
she
it.
said, when I was 4.3, what's going to be different from 4.3 for 4.4 or
Okay.
4.5? Like, so, every year there should be some sort of improvement. And the only thing we can control, man, is health. What we intake,
Yeah.
that's we don't control nothing else. We don't control time. You know, if you're working for somebody, I mean, you could put value on yourself, but the direct control of your life and everything that you deal with from sickness and any ailment is diet related.
Yes.
Everything is diet related, man. So,
Yes.
and that's not to say, and everything is in moderation because you could die from too much water, but you'll die from
Facts.
too much sugar a whole lot sooner than you will too much water.
That's a fact.
So, you know what I mean? So you look at that and you just say, hey, man, I dove into fasting. I completed my 21-day fast.
Congrats, man.
Thank you, man. That plus working out, you can drop 40 pounds, 30 pounds in 21 days. If you're doing it for real,
Yeah.
you saw me at NAM, it was like, yo, like, it's crazy.
Look
So you
great.
do, thank you, man. So, all those things, man, just make me feel good. Then when you get to a point where you can get into a 2X and you had a 44 and you was a 50, or a 42, and then you was a 50 and you like, damn, oh man, okay, 2 more pants out, I could be in a 38. All the
Right.
possibilities are so, it's like when they say when you make your first, it's harder to make your first 100,000 than it is your first million.
Right.
Because
Right.
once
Right.
you figure out how to make your first 100,000, you you just repeat it.
Right.
So it's that kind of thing where it's like, you know what to do. You just gotta do it.
You just got to get it done.
So you just gotta get it done, man.
That consistency is important.
Yeah,
That's everything. People are like, yo, Jay, I want to come work out with you. I want to do it. I'm like, yo, just be
yeah.
consistent. How
Be
do I get like
consistent,
you?
man.
Just be consistent.
Be consistent, bro.
That is the cheat code.
And I have my up and down days. You know what
Everybody
I mean?
does.
But it's like, man, you know, some
They,
days it's like, I didn't go to the gym yesterday. It was a holiday. And I had my own workout, last night with wifey, and so I
yeah,
didn't have to go this morning. Hey,
come on, brother.
hallelujah. Talk about, so you know what I'm saying? That's,
Yo, hallelujah is crazy.
hey, man, listen. Hey, that's another thing too, man. It's like people, I see this all the time, man. They be like, people be in the gym, they like, cause I want to be able to tear my woman down. I
Come
want to
on now.
be in, all of those things, man. And, the older you get for men, our drive goes down, women's go up. So you gotta be able, man, to perform, man, at a high level from the stage to the bed. That's
There
just
you
what
go.
it is. To the playground with your kids.
Yep.
All of them require you to be in the best fitness shape. That don't mean you gotta be the rock or
Yeah.
Anybody, you just got to be a better version of you, man. And as long as you could do that without injuring yourself or using an inhaler or whatever, like,
Yeah.
and then just keep getting better, man. And then you feel better. You feel better. People don't realize, you know, how good you will feel, man, especially with like you eating fruit, like, I mean, I like ice cream and all, but man, if you like I started juicing,
Yeah.
I was doing smoothies, but the juicing, the kind of energy, and for men, just how our bodies work, high blood pressure, getting up in the middle of the night to pee, all that kind of man, when you start changing your diet and what's reducing, um, although you do need sodium, but when you reduce stuff, anything white is bad for you,
Typically.
especially in excess, but
Yeah.
our bodies are so smart that they know the difference from refined sugars and natural sugars. Is a strawberry cupcake is not going to have the same results as eating strawberries.
That's a fact.
It's not the same. Your body knows how to process that kind of sugar. You know what I mean? So you start learning what works for your body and, all those things. And then biggest thing is to apply. We learn, but we don't apply.
Yeah.
We talk it, but we don't walk it, man, because we want instantaneous results. But consistency is the only way to get to point A to point B. You got to keep walking to make it there. And once
Yeah.
you get there, then you've learned this many steps for this, boom, boom, boom. And then everything, just keeps elevating. But I feel great.
Yeah, bro. You look great. You're on top of it. Attitude
Thank
is
you, man.
dialed in. Your success is on the move, man. And I think that's also a testimony to what you're doing in the gym. Mike,
Yeah.
you're in the gym before I am, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
That's a difficult task, brother, because I'm
Yeah.
up before the sun.
Yeah.
You are up when I'm still asleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'll wake up and I'll check your IG and you will post dang near every day,
Yeah. Yeah.
4:30. I'm like,
Yep.
yo, what time did this man get up?
But you know what it was too, man, is I think, what do they say, idle playgrounds or the mindless devil's playground or something, man. You gotta
Yeah.
put a plan in place because like I pick my daughter up every day from school at 2:30, on Tuesdays at 1:30. So I know my studio I got a 45 to an hour drive in traffic in the morning.
Mhm.
I drop her off at school, all that stuff. So I'm like, okay, cool. I got to be up at 3:45, 4 o'clock, because I'm not just jumping up excited. So I'm gonna be lazy, and the gym is only 2 blocks away, so it's
Right.
a minute and a half drive to get to the gym, but to get up, brush teeth, get dressed. So, I'm out the door 4:15, get there, park, walk up the stairs. I'm on the treadmill 4:30. I got to be out of the gym by 6:30 so I can get home, shower, help wifey get her ready, and then, take her to school, leave out the house by 7:30 because her
Right.
school started at 8, get there, and then head to the studio, to be here by 9, so I can at least get 9 to 1:30 in, or 9 to 12:30 like today,
Yep.
9 to 12:30, and then go home and pick her, drive another 45 minutes back to pick her up and go home. And then some days I come back depending on the workload, but the majority of the time I'm gonna just stay on that side of town.
Yeah.
And then I need to be to bed by 7:30 so I can get up. Because if
Right.
anything past that, I'm not getting up at 4:30. If I,
No,
if
it's
I
not gonna work.
9 o'clock, 9:30, my schedule is really thrown off, which is what happened last night. You know,
Yeah, right.
so I was
Right.
like, and my alarm, I woke up at 3:50 this morning. I got up
Wow.
at 3:50. My alarm was set for 4. I got up at 3:50, and I was heading to the bathroom. My wife said, "Where are you going?" I was like, "To pee," and back to bed, because I knew I didn't have the energy. I was just like, I'm not gonna make it, but
Yeah.
you got muscle memory, and as long as you don't wait too long, you'll fall right back in line. So
That's a fact.
yeah,
And you still stay on your health, your food intake. Even though
yeah,
you ain't
yeah,
make it, you
yeah.
that's not a license for you to go to
Ex-
McDonald's
ex-
drive through.
Facts. And cooking, people don't realize you gotta, I know everybody's not a chef, but the George Foreman air fryer, all of those things are
Crock pots,
crock
Instapots.
pots, Instapots,
Yes, all that.
all of that, man. And you can eat good and still be healthy. You
Yes.
know, it's all in what you do, and a lot of it is preparation. You know what I mean? I don't do
Yeah.
much pork or beef these days. But I still do my turkey and I love my chicken, man. But
Yeah.
a lot of it is preparation, I don't do fried food like that.
Right.
I don't do
And all
fried
those
food.
things are I love what we cook.
Yeah. Oh man, listen.
Like I get disappointed some places sometimes. I'm like, yo,
Man,
I could have made
listen.
this better.
And you realize, man, your money, that's another fiscal responsibility thing where that ties into it. Because if you cook something that's gonna last you, some people, I don't like leftovers. Yeah, you like leftover money though. You like change.
Come on.
So, you know what I'm saying? And that
Come
change gets
on.
spent real fast when you don't prioritize your time and plan. So
Yeah.
you gotta meal prep, you gotta prep your time, you gotta schedule. Because at the end of the day, all of it is gonna save. It's gonna save you money, it's gonna save you time. You got more time with family, you got better quality food. And Instagram, social media got so many recipes today, man. Dude, I got so much stuff saved, man. Sweet potato stuff, all
Yes.
type of stuff, man, where you could
Yes.
really have a good meal, man, and then you get to the studio and you got a clear mind, you ready to practice.
Yeah.
You got a good attitude because you ain't
Yes.
late, you ain't full of bullshit, and you
Yep.
know what I'm saying? All
It's
of it
all that.
plays into all of it, man. I think once people start to realize how everything works t- together, it'll change people's mindset. And that's just what happened with me. I just had a shift. It comes with maturity. You ain't young forever.
Yeah.
And you start realize you got your life. Man, listen, we're over uh 50% of our lifespan.
Sure.
From a statistical standpoint, I'll be 40 next year. I don't know. There's not a lot of musicians that would live to 80, not great ones.
Come
I
on.
I,
Yeah.
I would like to be an exception. And most of
Yeah.
our grandparents that what they call bad food, because they were cooking it themselves and growing it themselves.
Yes.
Both my grandparents, on my mom's side were in the 80s when they passed. So, get back to cooking, get you some, along with olive oil, get you some avocado oil because it's a high smoke point. You know
There
what I'm
you go.
saying?
There you
If you
go.
do want to, we don't deep fry, but we will pan sear. You know what I'm
Quick.
saying?
Quick.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yes,
like,
sir.
just choices, man. So that's really it, bro.
That health is actually wealth.
I mean, it really is, man.
It
Listen,
really is.
that's
It is the
facts.
real currency of life. Like there's
It
no
is.
there's nothing else. Like
Yeah.
if you have your health, you can practice. If you have your health, you can tour. If you have your health, you can have a kid. If you have your health, you can do all these types of things. If you
Yes.
don't have your health, you can't do any of that until your health is in order.
Yeah.
Like
And
none of that.
everybody in those positions we have seen at some point transition into a healthy living style.
Yes.
From Lizzo to Adam Blackstone
Yes.
to it's not that you about to be the skinniest person because that's not always healthy either. You got skinny people with high blood pressure too. So
Right.
you can't just eyeball somebody, but when you see people start to make better choices and you physically see the result, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And get it how you live, I don't say take the shot, but do what's best for you
Right.
to get over, you know what I'm saying? Do what's best for you. I see
Yeah.
Charles Barkley promoting this GLB-1 and Serena Williams and all that.
Serena's pissed me off. I ain't gonna hold you.
Man, because she was muscular. She was in great shape. So
She's
I
iconically one of the best female athletes of all time. Yo, chick, what are you
man,
doing?
yeah, I don't understand it. But but if you are in a super obese state in life and you need a jump start, do what you got to do to get you over the hump. And it's not a remedy. It's for a moment. Do whatever. But bottom line is, you got to change your mindset and change your actions.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate thing. But once you do that, I think, and past 21 days, it becomes a lifestyle and it becomes a habit, man. And you'll feel better. And the things that you used to desire and want, you actually will not even want them anymore. That's the crazy part.
Yes.
You will not want them. You know what I'm saying? Like, because your body,
You know what it's gonna do. Like, you
you
know
know what it's going to
exactly
do.
how it's gonna pan out for you, and you're
Yeah.
like, I can't afford the dog. If I eat bad, my whole next day is off. My sleep is messed up. My
Oh,
sweat is different. Like everything is just jacked up.
everything, man. And you feel it. You feel it, man. And it's like, you know what? I don't like the way this feels because I don't like the way this fits. I don't like the way this
Yes.
outfit fits. You know what I mean? And, you got the power to change it. So,
That's a fact. Like I know you got to dip out of here, man. So I don't want to keep you too much longer, so you can go pick up your daughter. But let's
yeah,
go ahead and give some people where can they find you? How can they get in contact with you? Where are your albums at? And we're also going to list all this stuff in the descriptions
for
everywhere
sure.
as well. So, but just give people just a little how do they get a hold of you? Where can they find everything you're doing?
Man, Big Mike Hart, .com, BigMikeHart.com. You can go right there. That's direct to me, direct to consumer. You
Yeah,
can hit me up. All of my social media is on there. You can get to my Instagram, my Facebook, YouTube, my Twitter, my TikTok. Everything is at BigMikeHart.com. But if you
perfect.
want to just go directly to the social media sites, all of my underscores and handles are Big Mike 2987. And if you want to call or not, sorry, don't call me, but if you want to text me,
There you go.
you can call the number, but I won't pick up a phone call, but I will answer a text and reply to you. You can hit me at 818-405-8398. That is direct line to my phone. It's not no other phone. It is a direct line to my phone, and I will get a text. You can actually input all of your information into my phone book so I know when you hit me up who it is. So do that because I like to send out tour dates, whether it's for my own tour, which I am on currently, the Spot Day
Yes,
Tour,
sir. Yes,
Modern
sir.
Classic Spot Day Tour. We just had a great show last week at Spaghettini's here in California, Seal Beach. Next up,
Amazing.
we're in Oakland at Yoshi's, the
Yes.
legendary Jazz Supper Club, April 14th. And then Atlanta, May 14th at St. James Lounge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a couple things, but my tour, Boney James tour as well, everything will be sent out and I'll hit you up and I want to see you there. But go to BigMikeHart.com. You can get the phone number and socials, everything right there.
Perfect. Well, Big Mike, man, I appreciate you taking time just to be on the show, man. Like it
Yes,
means the
sir.
world to me that you came on. You're a wealth of information. I could keep talking to you for hours.
My
So we'll have
dog.
to do a part 2 for sure if you're
I'm
down.
ready.
My God. Big
My
Mike,
guy.
ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all.
Love.
Off script, with Jarvis